You're the person everyone comes to when something breaks. Not just things, people, situations, emotions. And somehow, you always know what to do. But there's something strange. When it's your own life, you hesitate. You overthink, you stall, you go quiet. Why is it so easy to fix everything else, but not yourself? Visual: person sitting in a dim room, phone lighting their face. Problem deep dive. You've built an identity around being capable, reliable, sharp, the one who figures things out. In conversations, you're already mapping solutions before the other person finishes speaking. At work, you see inefficiencies others ignore. In relationships, you anticipate problems before they happen. It feels like clarity, but there's a cost. Because over time, you stop asking for help, not because you don't need it, but because it feels unnatural, almost unsafe. Your inner voice sounds different too. It doesn't say, "I'm struggling." It says, "I should know how to fix this." And when you don't, there's a quiet tension, a pressure to perform competence even in private. Visual: notebook with half-written thoughts, then scratched out. This isn't just a personality trait. It's a pattern, a psychological one, and it usually forms earlier than you think. Reframe. This part matters, because what you've learned to do, this constant fixing, analyzing, solving, isn't a flaw, it's an adaptation. At some point, being the one who understands gave you stability. Maybe things around you were unpredictable. Maybe emotions weren't expressed clearly. Maybe being useful was the safest way to belong. So your brain did something intelligent. It leaned into control, into problem solving, into becoming necessary. Visual: child sitting quietly while observing adults arguing. Not broken, not too much, just trained. But that training came with a blind spot, and it shows up in a very specific way. Psychological mechanism. Your brain treats problems like puzzles, clean, structured, solvable. This is tied to something in cognitive psychology called cognitive closure. It's the brain's desire to resolve uncertainty quickly. When something feels unclear, your mind moves to fix it, because uncertainty feels like a threat. Now here's the catch. Other people's problems look like puzzles. Your problems feel like fog. Visual: foggy street with dim lights. Because when you're involved emotionally, your brain shifts systems. Instead of logical processing, it activates emotional circuits, especially areas linked to self-relevance and identity. So now it's not just a problem, it's you. And the brain doesn't fix the self the same way it fixes a task. Here's a simple model. Outside problems equals map. Inside problems equals weather. You can navigate a map. You can't control the weather. Visual: split screen. A clear map versus storm clouds moving. So what do? You try to turn weather into a map. You intellectualize them. You search for solutions. But the more you do that, the more disconnected it feels. Because the system you're using isn't designed for that terrain. And this is where the real shift begins. Practical framework. 1. Stop solving. Start noticing. What to do when something feels off. Pause before trying to fix it. Name what's happening without changing it. Why it works. This engages the brain's interoceptive awareness, the ability to sense internal states. It reduces overactivity in problem-solving circuits and strengthens emotional processing. Example: instead of thinking, "Why am I so unproductive?" you say, "I feel mentally heavy and distracted." Visual: slow-moving light patterns. It sounds simple, but it shifts the system you're using. 2. Separate identity from function. What to do? Catch moments where you equate your value with your usefulness. Gently question it. Why it works. This interrupts self-schema bias, the brain's tendency to define identity through repeated roles. Example: when you think, "If I can't fix this, what's wrong with me?" Pause and reframe. Struggling doesn't remove my value. Visual: mirror reflection fading into neutral expression. You're not just the fixer, you're the one experiencing. 3. Allow incomplete states. What to do? Intentionally leave some things unresolved, without rushing to closure. Why it works. This builds tolerance for uncertainty, and reduces dependence on cognitive closure. Over time, the brain stops labeling ambiguity as danger. Example: you feel tension in a relationship. Instead of planning the perfect conversation immediately, you sit with the discomfort for a day. Visual: waves moving slowly, not crashing. Nothing breaks, but something softens. 4. Externalize, don't internalize. What to do? Write or speak your thoughts out loud as if you're explaining them to someone else. Why it works. This activates distanced self-reflection, a process that helps the brain shift from emotional immersion to structured understanding. Example: you journal. If a friend felt like this, I'd say, and suddenly clarity appears. Visual: notebook with one clear sentence written. Not because you solved it, but because you changed perspective. 5. Let someone else not fix you. What to do? Share something unresolved without presenting a solution. Why it works. This challenges the brain's learned association between vulnerability and loss of control. It rewires safety through connection. Example: instead of saying, "I think I figured it out," you say, "I don't know what to do with this." Visual, two people sitting quietly, no dialogue, and nothing collapses. In fact, something builds. So here's the shift. You don't stop being someone who knows how to fix things. You just stop using that skill on everything. Because not everything is a problem. Some things are processes, some things are emotions, some things are weather. Clouds slowly moving across open sky. And the more you treat everything like a puzzle, the more disconnected you feel from your own experience. So the new model becomes simple. Weather for the self. You navigate one, you steal the other, and both matter. Quiet, empowering, close. There's nothing wrong with being the one who understands, who sees clearly, who helps. But you were never meant to carry that role everywhere. Not into your own mind. Not into every quiet moment. Sometimes, the most accurate response is not a solution. It's attention. Visual. Empty room with sunlight slowly filling it. Because the moment you stop trying to fix yourself, you finally start being with yourself. And that's where something deeper begins. Not control, not clarity, but something quieter. Something that doesn't need solving at all.